Julie Crockett. Welcome to her Empire Builder show.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. I'm so excited to be here. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, we've been in each other's world for a long time now. You've been a member for 4 years, which is very, very exciting. And I've seen so many different iterations and growth and everything that you've done in that time. But you've been in business for 14 years, 15 years now.
Yeah, 2010 I set up the business. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
So you've
March of
had a
40.
lot of iterations. And so that's what I love to talk to members about with our member story series is how this all came about. And so you were a teacher. How did you get into property from being a teacher? Like, was that a personal interest or how did that happen?
Yeah, great question. Personal interest. I many years ago, being a single mum, I got a super statement in the mail, and I thought, oh no, like I had such a little amount of money in there, and we kind of go into this whole what is going to happen in old age when
Mm,
I've got, very little super. And I've still got to support my kids through high school. I've still got to do all these things. And I just thought that investing would be the way forward. And that's exactly what I did. I grabbed that with both hands and after doing a bit of exploration, started investing in residential property back in 2002, actually.
yeah. And
And
so did that just come like did you read a book? Did you hear someone speak? Like where did that come from and thought, as a single mum, because it's quite a big thing as a single mum to go, I'm going to go and start investing in property.
yeah, especially as I already had a mortgage as well. So I had my
Yeah.
own home and a mortgage and two kids. And yeah, it was a bit
Was
scary,
that
but
back when so I think my first property, I'm trying to think of how old I am and when that because I bought my first one when I was 18 and I think that would have been I graduated high school in 2001. So that would have been 2002. So that was
yep.
the time when they were giving 100% loans, right?
Yeah, I don't think I think you're right. It was around about that time. It was a
Yeah.
whole lot easier to get money.
Yeah, well, I bought 3 properties by the time I was 21 with
Mm,
100% loans as a
yeah,
casual worker and a full-time student, which is impossible now.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, we were very lucky to have that opportunity.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think there's a great message in there that if the opportunity is there, and you think it makes sense and you want that, then do it. Like, don't think twice. I think
yeah,
that's for everybody. It's such an important message because times like that don't necessarily come back again.
yeah, but I mean, you don't know how lucky you are until it passes sometimes though too.
Yep, very true.
Yeah,
Very,
I was having this conversation with a friend the other day about our 2% fixed rate home loans that we got for a hot minute there and going, see, I didn't really like I wasn't luxuriating in that as much as what we should have.
yeah. Look, I think the next rate drop we get, and it will come at some point,
Yeah,
just going to hear this enormous yippee across the
totally.
Australian landscape. People will be
Totally.
so
Anyway, back to your story, Julie. Sorry to hijack that and go off on a bit of a digression there. So you started buying property while you were teaching still?
yeah, so that's sort of my teaching funded my what became my passion. But to answer the first part of your question, the thing that got me started was actually my parents in their lifetime had one investment property, and I could see that it worked for them, and I thought, yeah, maybe I should try that. And I didn't really understand shares at that stage. I didn't really have any other avenue, and so that's why I went down the property sort of track.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so from there, that was 8 years until you started in the business. So what happened in that 8 years?
Yeah, I had a friend who was also a teacher, and she had a huge property portfolio, and we used to get together and just talk property. Other people thought we had like three heads because they kind of went, "What are these women talking about?" But
Yeah.
we just loved it, and we do our research through term time, and then come holiday time, we jump on planes and we go to
Oh,
all
so
these
fun.
amazing places around Australia, and we'd check out stuff. And mostly we bought, like we were just yeah, quite chronic investors in those days, and so yeah, the and what I did, I used my teaching income to source that, to fund that, to do all of my acquisition. And then I had people coming to me and saying, "Oh, what are you doing? How are you doing it? I'd really love to do that. Can you show me how to do that? Can you help me how to do that?" And so I was helping people invest, and then basically, yeah, I got to 2010, and I got to a significant age, and it was like the crossroads, when you hit a
Mm,
crossroads in life. And I thought, I could go on teaching for the next, 10 years and it would be okay. I can do that. I enjoy it. Or I could launch into this space, which is, I'd never set up a business. I'd never run a business. I'd never done anything in business. But the property part of it really excited me. And helping other people do that really excited me. So that's how I got into the business in 2010. Got my real estate license, and then, just started helping lots of people. And it was at a time when people had no idea what a buyer's agent was. So I'm a
mm.
buyer's agent. I work with investors, and people would say, "You're a what?" And you do what? And so, yeah, it was all very new. But I've since learned that actually I really love the new spaces,
Yeah,
because
totally.
so much opportunity in
Yes,
new
I
spaces.
completely agree.
Yeah, so that excites me a
Mm,
lot. Yeah.
yeah. And so when you first started, because I'm always interested when people go from employment into self-employment, did you start doing the buyer's agents before you let your teaching job go? Or like, did you have a buffer or did you cut that and then went all in? How did your transition go from quotes normal life into this wonderful world of entrepreneurship?
Yes. What happened was, being a teacher, you can do that part time. So I started doing, I initially took a 12-month period off, and then I had to come back into my role because one of my staff got quite very, very ill. And so, but once that phase finished, and she was absolutely fine, thank goodness, that I could then do my 2 days a week into teaching 2 days a week, and then doing business. And of course, when you're doing something half half, that's a real challenge as well, because you're constantly drawn to the things you should be doing in the teaching
Yeah.
role, and the things that I need to be doing in the business role. And at that stage, I had a business coach who was really down to earth, and she just laid it down one day to me after I'd been doing business for about 12 months. And she said, "Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to treat this like a hobby, or are you
Mm.
going to get in there and do business?" With a few expletives in the middle. And I and it hit me that, yeah, I'd replaced my income, my teaching income, with business income, and now I have to make a choice.
Yeah.
And I lost it, literally lost it, because that security of having a
Especially a
corporate
government
job,
employed job. Yeah.
yeah, it was a private school job, but even so, like, irrespective of all of that, it's security that I'd never known any differently, ever.
Mm.
And to let that go, oh boy, I was a mess for
Yeah.
about 24 hours, and I it tore me. And I thought, this is what got me over the line. This is your one opportunity to do what you actually
Mm.
want to do.
Yeah. Well done. That's always a massive, massive moment in the story.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so you went all in then. And so that was about 2012.
2010. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And then you kept being a buyer's agent until you found the online space. Did it have any other iterations in between?
No, just buyer's agent right the way through. And then I think what got me over the line with the courses was the fact that I knew I could put a course together. I
Yeah.
knew I had the ability to be able to, generate content, and make it meaningful, and be able to do all those parts of it. And I really wanted something to diversify my income as well, like have another income stream, because in property, yeah, it can be famine or feast, depending
Yeah.
on interest rate rises, depending on um, election time, depending on, like, people property investment runs on sentiment, a lot of positive sentiment. And if there's not a lot of positive sentiment in the market, then people don't buy
Mm.
because they don't have to. So yeah, so having that diversity was really, really again exciting to set up,
Yeah.
but also to see it work. And it's taken some time because yet again, and I've just come to the conclusion, in order to move into the course creator space, you actually have to carve out time from core business
Yeah.
to be able to make that happen. So it's a similar kind of,
Yeah, you
not
had
as
to do the same
intense.
thing, 1 foot in, 1 foot in. Yeah.
Yeah, and not as intense because I've worked out, yes, I can make income from property, being a buyer's agent, that's fine. But yeah, just now grappling with and taking on with, both hands. I grip I grip them like that because it's taking that on board and going, yeah, I can do this as well.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
And so you started with us in 2020.
Yes.
And then Millionaire Property Investor Program was born in 2021. How did you distill everything that you wanted to do in buyer's agents? Because I know a lot of people are in this situation where they've been doing their traditional business and they've got all of their knowledge. And there was probably, 20 different courses you could have done around property. How did you settle on Millionaire Property Investor to start with? And tell us about what that looked like from an offer point of view as well.
Yeah, I think what really honed that idea was the fact that I was working with a lot of women over the time that I'd set up the business, and it still guts me really that so many women want to invest.
Mm,
They love the idea of investing, but when it comes to doing it, they find a million and one ways why they can't do it. So
mm,
I lack confidence. I don't understand what I'm doing. I need to know more about property investing before I take the leap. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too like.
mm.
There were so many things that kept coming out of that, and end result being, if people are confused, they tend not to do it.
Yeah.
And then we get, of course, the spin-off effect of that is, women that are retiring with nothing,
Mm.
and you're kind of going, oh, it just so yeah. I took that step to try and help women come into the space with the Millionaire Property Investor Program to give them the knowledge and the understanding in order to then move on into investing.
And what was that first offer that you launched with?
Yeah, the first offer. I mean, I've had as many people do. you
I think
launch
as all of us do iterations.
you launch in with all the right things that you think you need, but there's things missing. There were still gaps in what I did. I had no one show up. I thought I'd
Yeah.
run a webinar, no one show up. So I went and did an affiliate, approached someone who was a great affiliate for me and did that. So the offer was basically that um, it was 12 weeks, a 12-week course. It was, I've offered it at various price points. I think the first price point was 997.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, basically, and that was weekly hand holding, weekly Q&A, weekly, sessions, all the rest of it, to try and help them as much as I could. And so, yeah, and I've had fairly mixed results with the affiliate group that I've used, and they have been amazing. They've been wonderful. I'll tell you this bit because this sort of breaks my heart in many ways. The last round that I did with them, I thought I'd offer a couple of spaces in the course. So I had about, I think 6 came on and purchased full price, but I asked if there were people who would like to join in 2 sponsored spots. And 14 people applied for the sponsored
Mm.
spots. In other words, yes, you can come in free of charge. And I got to the first, I started interviewing them. So I called them up, please leave me a number and
Yeah.
a buzz. I called them up. First woman, she was in her early 30s. She'd just gone through like 6 years worth of cancer treatment. She was like,
Oh, your
how
early 30s.
yeah, and she sort of was really financially had been smashed through that,
Yeah.
obviously, and, wanted just to get a foothold into understanding how she could get onto the property ladder. So I thought, "Oh, okay." And then the next call I made was a woman, a woman who was living in a hotel room with her two little children and her dog, who had fled domestic violence
Oh
situation.
my gosh.
And after the second call, I couldn't make any more calls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
You're like,
was,
"Okay, that's it." Yeah.
I can't do this. And then that opened up this whole other world, of course, of reality.
Yeah.
How many women are actually going through
Yes.
all and sundry, and yet still how important that message is to,
Yeah.
get the knowledge. If that's what you need, get the knowledge, get the
Mm.
help, get whatever to get into investing when you can. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a huge journey, that one.
And so what do you we touched on at the start how lucky we were to get into property when we did. How does that compare to now with people wanting to start to buy their first investment property now?
Yeah, look, I think if we hold on to the narrative that then was easy and now is tough, and
Mm.
now is easier and next year will be tougher, and I mean we really don't know what that
Yeah,
landscape.
yeah.
And I think the huge message is like investing, and you may say the same thing, and I'll ask you the question in a minute, Tina, even though you're the one asking the question. But from my perspective, investing back in 2002, building a portfolio, and the result that it brought me was being able to move into this business because I did have a financial
Mm.
backing. If all else fails, people said, if all else fails, you can go back to teaching. No, if all else fails, I can just sell something and I'm
Yeah.
cash flow to the wazoo to do whatever comes next.
Yes.
So I think the message is for everybody, if you've got the capacity to invest in property now, now is the time you do it. Whether
Yeah.
it's easy, whether it's hard. If you put it off, the most powerful thing you will ever have is your time and
Mm.
your income.
Yeah.
And while you've got those two things, you can make an amazing difference to the outcome, your retirement outcome down the
Yeah,
track.
completely.
Yeah. So would you agree? I mean, what would you say, Tina, has been for you the most powerful thing with your property investment journey?
I mean, I think it's exactly that, that I did when I could kind of thing. So for me, it started so young because I'm very, very close with my grandma. She's 97 now. And she was amazed when I turned 18 that I could get a loan without a man's signature. She thought that was the most incredible thing, and for her, I remember her still now, all those years ago, like, grabbing my face with her hands and saying, "You have no idea how lucky you are. This is going to change your whole life. Your life will be you can be an independent, strong woman. You could" like, she was so excited by the opportunity that to me was so normal, that to her was groundbreaking. And so I kind of saw it as my responsibility to take on this loan and do this. And when I say I bought property, my first property was in Canberra and it was $70,000 was a little apartment. My second was $50,000 was a house up in Mackay. So, like, I couldn't buy anything in Sydney where I lived or anything like that. I would search far and wide for what I could afford next at the time. And then once I had got to a comfortable place, I was like, can I go again and do that? Until I started having children and then borrowing capacity and everything changed there. So we had to change that. But I am really glad that she did that for me in saying, like, now's the time, because I think had I not done that, I would have, I don't know when the time would have been right. And I talk to a lot of girlfriends of mine that if they don't have properties, that it's such a big thing in their minds. And to me, share like similar to you, I didn't understand shares. I was like, how can the value of a company go up and down that much? Like, it just makes no sense. To me, a house was like something stable and something solid. I could see it, I could visit it. It made sense. And to me, it was still, I still now I invest in share, I invest in all sorts of things. But to me, houses are still stable. They're still predictable. Yes, they go up and down. I've had one property that I sold 7 years later and made like $10,000. And we had one, I remember we sold one of our houses and then that was just before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and it went up by $1 million. And I was like, damn it. So, you take all of that in there, but being in the game and actually having something there is like, I know my retirement will be fine because of that. So I completely agree in that, you need to learn about it and educate yourself about it so that you know how accessible it can be. And if it's not accessible now, what you need to do in order to make it accessible. Because I still remember you've asked me this question now. I'm like going off on a tangent, but I remember reading the Financial Review a couple of years ago when they were talking about all of property investing. And it was like the percentage of people that had more than one property, and then the percentage of people that had two and three and four plus. And it was only like 0 point something that had more than four, and women made up like 2% of those. Like it was tiny. And so that is why I love your program. So tell us about, what do you offer? Because I know your offer has changed a lot in the last 4 years. What does it look like now?
Mm. Just to clarify that stat, it's 0.06% of all investors own six or more properties. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tiny amount of people in relation to the population of Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
It's becoming more and more a thing now, which is really good because people are understanding that, yeah, if I want to have a great retirement, then I've got to do other things. My income will not
Mm.
cut it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so what's changed is I've rejigged, I guess, refurbished my Millionaire Property Investor Program, and changed the name to Property Investor Bootcamp. And so I've done it in sort of smaller, bite-sized pieces because it was quite an enormous course. I basically took all my knowledge and
Yes,
threw
which
it.
is what a lot of people do at the start and overwhelm everybody.
Yeah, and I had these women going, "Oh, look, the course is great, but wow." So anyway, I've trimmed it back and what have you. But in most recent times, I mean, last year, because I'm in the market all day, every day, talking to sales agents, I was having conversations with sales agents that went like, "Oh, Julie, I talk to these buyers agents and I'm ripping my hair out. They have no clue what they're doing. They're like, I want, and half of them I won't deal with. I just don't even pick up the phone." And I thought, ooh, that's really sad but interesting. And when I dug a bit deeper, I realized that, yeah, there are more and more buyers agents coming into the real estate industry that are not really prepared, or they might know how to buy property, but they actually don't know how to work with clients. They don't know how to onboard people. They don't know how the business side works. They don't know how to work with people who might be very, very nervous about buying their very first investment property. And what I do to sort of help them through that patch, and so I thought, right, okay, maybe there's a course in this
Yeah.
thing.
Spoken like a course creator.
I know. And so yeah, now I'm sort of smitten with course creation, which is like property slash course creation, amazing. So jumped into basically that, helping new buyers agents to be able to become really, really, really good buyers agents. And interestingly enough, just in the last couple of weeks, I've had conversations with some of the big players in buyers agent world, and they're scaling. A lot of them are starting to scale now. They're sitting around 30 to maybe 40 deals per month. They're wanting
Wow.
to do 100 plus. They haven't got the buyer's agents to be able to do that.
Yeah. That's
So I kind
huge.
of went, here I am. I can train them. I can train your existing stuff. So I'm starting to move more and more now into that corporate space. And what makes my heart sing is the fact that I've always wanted, in taking on this step of helping buyers agents, to really be an influence and make an impact in that sector of real estate. So I kind of went, that's happening.
Hmm.
The opportunity is there. I just need to step into that space now.
Yeah, need to do the same thing again like you did at the beginning. See the opportunity and go after it.
Yeah. So it's like seeing a niche in your market
Mm,
and then finding the niche within the niche,
yeah,
and then even going deeper than that, like find the niche within the niche within the niche.
yeah.
Because people, when I ran, so I started to created the buyer's agent course, and I thought I would put it out there. So off to one bit of a tangent, I guess that's one part of what I've done in recent times is starting to work with the bigger players in buyer's agency world, but also to create that first course where I thought, okay, I've got the Millionaire Property Investor program. That's pretty much with a few more tweaks and onboarding and business sort of side of things. That's my buyer's agent course, which I then added a whole lot more to as well. And thought, okay, this time I'm going to put out Facebook ads. This time I'm going to do all the things. And I could not believe the response. Every man and his dog want to be buyer's agents because
Mm,
it's a really easy way to make money. Go figure that. But so I had my first webinar. I thought, okay, put it out there. Had over 100 people that responded. And I thought, wow, I've not talked to sort of more than 10 on a webinar before, but that's okay.
yeah,
100, I'll
cool.
probably get like 10 in, right? And on the night, so I set it up and I had my little presentation there, and it was just me. And I opened it up, and of course, 49 people.
Amazing show up rate.
I know. I'm kind of going, oh, just one moment, because I got to, like, I didn't have an assistant. I've got to let in like 6 more people and then 10 more
Yeah.
people. Anyway, we got through that bit. And so, yeah, basically, the people who were most on board to come in were those who who had actually set up some kind of a buyer's agency, had no clue what they were doing, and went, quick, Julie, quick, I need the course. Help me, help me, help me.
Yeah.
Money, bang.
I
So
love the way it evolves and one thing leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
good.
just being open, I think, is to all of that and not being too fearful when it all pops up and you're sort of going, oh, that's the next thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So what advice would you give to others wanting to level up in their online business?
Yeah, exactly that. I think just yeah, try and find that niche in the area that you're currently in, because when you do find that niche and people want your thing, they're going to jump on it.
Yeah.
The greater the need, and I'm thinking of a couple of different ladies in your group, Tina. The need comes from a very deep personal one, and it's
Mhm.
either something to do with family and how can I address the need in my family situation. With the buyer's agent course, it's all about perceived income and being able to generate income from something that people feel they will enjoy doing. So there's a lot of people at the moment in this particular point in time that are very disenchanted with their job, their
Mm,
career, their whatever, and yeah, they're looking for something else. So if you can find and hit those pain points and solve those problems, I think you're on a winner for sure.
yeah. Nice.
And it doesn't make it any easier necessarily, because it's all about persistence. It's all about making sure that we are looking at what has happened before and trying to adjust it to make it, more relevant the next time around you present or have your webinar or whatever it is. But yeah, and
Yeah.
I was the lady who said, rather than do a live launch, Tina, you remember these words, I would rather poke sticks in my eyes than do a live launch.
Yeah.
And I had those words came back to me when I was doing the buyers, I was setting up to do this buyer's agent live training slash webinar. And I thought, you know what? I just need to do this thing, poke the sticks in my eyes, and get the hell on with it.
And
So,
was it that bad, Julie?
well, it wasn't. The thing the fear is that no
Mm.
one's going to turn up, or I'll get like
Yeah.
two.
And look, you had a 50% show up rate.
Yeah. And so that gets you over the fear, because
Yeah.
inside you're going, Oh, people turned up.
So
People
is that
walked.
why you put it off for so long, was because you were afraid no one was gonna show up?
That was part of it, yeah. And why do I keep persisting when, it's probably not gonna work anyway? We tell
Oh,
ourselves dumb
yeah,
things all
yeah.
the time.
Which you're
Um,
not alone in that. People do that all the time.
yeah, yeah. It's a self-preservation mechanism, I'm sure, where
Yes.
rather than go down that track, we
Yeah.
probably prefer not to do it, and then we don't have to feel that fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then you never reach your potential.
yeah, exactly.
Never see what you're capable of, which is my favorite thing about business, is you really get to see just what you're capable of doing. Yeah.
And yeah, and hats off to people who, when the chips are absolutely down and they've got nowhere else to go, but they
Mm.
still persist and they just dig deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
That that shows you the real integrity and the character of the person.
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite thing about being a course creator?
Yeah, changing lives,
Yeah.
changing lives, 100%. And people will tell me that,
And
if
yours is
I,
such a big change too.
yes,
Like
yeah,
it's huge. It's a huge undertaking.
yeah.
Yeah.
I say that right at the very beginning. I say, when they first come into the course, I give everyone 100%. My expectations of everyone in this course
Mhm.
is we are going to dig deep and we are going to do all of the work, and we're going to, like, I just lay it on so thick because I think if we're going to make changes and people are half-hearted about it, then it's not going to work for them.
Mm.
I want them to get the results. I want them to be successful. I tell them that. I will
Yeah.
keep working. If you put in the effort, I'll keep working with you forever so that you are successful in whatever angle of buyer's agency you're going to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Love that. That's dedication, Julie. And of course I have to ask you, what's your favorite thing about being part of her empire builder?
look, I think there's lots of things actually, because um, you cannot be what you cannot see. So
Mm.
first and foremost, to see you, Tina, and other women doing what you do, that brings it to reality. And I'm very much a believer of, and it's not, I don't have, it's not, how can I put this? I'll just say it. I really believe that if anyone else can do it, so can I do it.
Mm.
Because you've got to have that level of self belief to know that when things are going great, fantastic, but when they're not, that's when you know yourself and you know that you've got to just keep going.
Yeah.
And that is role modeled. And I think that is really important.
Mm.
The community is great. I think, having that ability to be able to reach out to people as individuals, and we all know where we're coming from. I think that's been really lovely. I
Yes.
think
Okay.
that, yeah, it's getting that snapshot of, and it's a bit like be your future self now,
Yes.
like getting that snapshot of what you were, and then having that vision of what you can be,
Mm.
and then stepping into that as if you already were.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Which segues perfectly to my final question is where are you heading? What does future look like for you? Like what does that success look like?
Yeah, I've always struggled with that. What does success look like for me? I can answer the first part of that question. So where am I?
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm absolutely wanting to and will make declaration, will make an impact on the real estate industry for the better, particularly in the buyer's agent sector, because that people are, I'm passionate about people and helping people, and seeing them be successful. And I always say, my true hope is that you are way more successful and a way better buyer's agent than I am. Like, and if you achieve that, woohoo, everyone wins. And yeah, that's my biggest goal at the moment, and just being able to help more and more people. I love the tech side of it as well, so that side of it is going to be really, really exciting. where we're heading as a country, I think that is, I'm not digressing, I'm actually still on point, is that what's coming for us all in the future is incredibly exciting. And the way we do business now certainly will not be the way we do business even in 5 years' time.
Mm.
And how we then navigate that as business owners and how we embrace those changes and step into the tech that's coming to make the difference in our businesses, that's, I think, going to be the next greatest challenge for all of us.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I can't wait.
Mhm.
Julie, we love having you part of our world and cheering you on all the way. In the show notes, we'll link to all of your programs and resources and all of the things there. But thank you so much for sharing your story.